All right, so I just saw The Fall Guy. Ignore the truck in the background. This movie right here. Let's talk about it. So The Fall Guy is directed by David Leitch, stars Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, Stephanie Hugh, Winston Duke, Aaron Taylor Johnson. A really solid cast. Colt Seavers is a professional stunt guy. He has a crush on a camera operator named Jody. He's been working as a stunt double for Tom Ryder, this famous actor in Hollywood, for several projects, and he has a terrible accident on set. And this accident breaks his confidence where he's out of the film game for 18 months. Well, he gets a phone call from a producer who's like, hey, come out to Australia. We need a stunt guy. And he's like, no, I'm not in this anymore. I'm living my life as a valet guy. I'm just really loving it. And she's all like, well, Jody wants you. And he's like, make sure it's an aisle seat. So not only is he, trying to get his groove back, get back into the film game, but he also wants to win back the love of his life, who he ignored for 18 months. As it turns out, this Tom Ryder guy is a bit of a loose cannon, and the producer says, hey, can you just check on the dude and make sure he's good, make sure he gets to set, we need him to work, obviously, he is the actor here. And he's like, okay, and chaos ensues, and it's hilarious. This movie's fabulous. That was fun. That was so much fun. The first movie for, nominated actors, because both Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling were nominated for Oscars this year. From the two biggest movies of the year, Barbie and Oppenheimer. We all remember Barbenheimer, right? I mean, the beautiful irony here to see them together. If you did not see when they presented together at the Oscars, they did kind of an ode to stunt work at the Oscars. Highly recommend finding that on YouTube. Hilarious. But yeah, that first movie after, Oscar press, it's always like, please be good. Because for whatever reason, a lot of actors do this where they'll have this big movie that does great, there's acclaim, they're getting nominated, and then their next film that next year is just awful. It's oh my gosh, you were doing so well, why would you do that? Eddie Redmayne, when he was nominated for The Theory of Everything, his movie that came out right after that, early the next year, Jupiter Ascending with Mila Kunis and Channing Tatum. Eddie Murphy was nominated for Dreamgirls, his very next movie, Norbit. Coleman Domingo, just this past year, was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor for Rustin, which is on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, you absolutely should. His next movie after that, he has a movie coming out soon called Sing Sing, which is supposed to be excellent. It's already on everyone's Oscar watch list, so hopefully we can all forget about the mess that was Drive Away Dolls in February. That movie was awful. I felt so bad for him. I forget how funny Emily Blunt is. She looks so classy and so serious. And I'm so used to seeing her in roles that are dramatic. Now, she has had, family-friendly and comedy roles. And, Devil Wears Prada, right? But I've always kind of seen her serious. That's where I've mostly seen her. Not to say that she hasn't done funny, but for whatever reason, every time I catch her on screen, she's serious. I've forgotten just how funny she is. And Ryan Gosling is, forgive my French, I don't know how else to put this, but he's a comedic dumbass. He reminds me of this dude named David that I went to high school with, who was the quarterback. He was varsity quarterback our freshman year of high school. The jock of jocks, popular, good looking, and yet he was the coolest dude, just goofy and funny, just naturally funny. The kind of guy that, from a distance, you're like, I'm not sure if I'd be okay with him. I don't think I'd be cool with him, but you get to know him and he's just the best kind of guy. Ryan Gosling reminds me of that. He's good looking, charisma for days. And, very serious, very, professional. And yet he's such a goof. He's such a goof. And I think he's one of those dudes who doesn't just realize how good he is at just comedic acting and comedic timing. Just how good he is at it. I don't know if he quite realizes it, because he doesn't take himself too seriously. He doesn't get all up in arms about it. He has so much fun with it. And I think that's why he's such a joy to watch in these comedic roles, because you can tell he's having so much fun. Is he even working? But I think it's that part, him being able to just have so much fun with it. I imagine that makes such a kind of an easy feeling on a set. But him and Emily Blunt together, they're wonderful. It's a perfect match. Great chemistry. They move so well. They're very in sync. It's just a great matchup. I mean, the casting couldn't have been any better. This movie is so much fun. So much fun. Easily part of my top 5 for the year. And this is movie number 49, I think. Yep, 49, because I saw Tarot earlier today, and that was movie 48. So, yep, this is 49. I think for film lovers, cinephiles, not just people who love to watch movies, but those who love the process, this is our kind of movie. There's a little piece right before the movie starts with Ryan Gosling and David Leitch, the director, where, David mentions that this is an ode to stunt work, because they're often overlooked in this industry. I mean, we're getting a new Oscar category that's for casting directors. How does casting get an Oscar before stunt work does, right? They're often overlooked, unseen. Nobody thinks about them too much. But this really is not just a love letter to stunt work in general, but just a love letter to the behind the scenes process. A lot of the parts of filmmaking that just often go unseen. So this movie really is about the making of a movie. There's so much happening here, and it's done so well. Like, this is a testament to good writing. Being able to create one whole piece of a puzzle and, masterfully work all these different quadrants and sections to create a whole, if that makes sense. Because you have this making of a movie that's happening, plus this love story, and then this crazy actionness that's happening with Ryan Gosling, jumping all over the place, and then this dog that understands French. Like, there's so much happening, but it works. It just works together. It's woven together so well. But at the core of this movie, it's a romantic comedy. It's a romantic comedy with a little bit of action and a little bit of, appreciation and love for the art of filmmaking. Movies about the making of a movie are always so interesting to me. They're always shot the same. They're always shot almost at a distance. It's almost like the camera and the director, they want to capture as much of the process as possible. They want to give you kind of a nice wide view of all that's happening. There's some pieces of this, the way it was shot, dolly work, watching them walk back and forth, reminded me of a French film called Day for Night. It was actually the first film that I watched in my very first film class, and it's about the making of a movie. And I imagine that in a few years, maybe 10 years from now, this is the kind of movie they'll show in film class, not just to show the process of filmmaking, but more so to show how stunt work is incorporated into filmmaking and what that looks like. I don't really know how to explain it. If you've seen movies about the making of a movie, I think so much of the way the camera works here, the way it moves, some of the steady cam work, the way we're following people, almost like a nervous PA, because as they're moving if you've ever seen a movie set before, people are moving very, very fast. They're going back and forth. They're talking to people here, and there. And so following behind them can be very nerve-wracking, and the camera kind of moves in that way. We get this really long, continuous shot towards the beginning, and all I'm thinking about is the timing and the blocking, because we're following Emily Blunt's character around as she's talking about this and pyrotechnics and, a rollover they want to do. And then, Ryan Gosling's character has to come in at just the right time. I don't know. I'm a nerd. I'm a weirdo. I'm obsessed. But it's a great movie. It's just fabulous. It's fun. I hate that this movie came out this week. When I say this week, I mean this early in May. This should have been Memorial Day weekend. This should have been the movie to open up the summer. Furiosa, which comes out Memorial Day weekend, better be damn good. This is a summer blockbuster. I hope it, I wish this would have been the movie to open up the summer season. This would have been perfect. But that was good. That was so much fun. That was so funny. That was an experience. That was cinema.